Okay, so I just got out of the invite. I had an amazing time with the invite. I was cracking up and I was hanging off the edge of my seat, just like the way everything was unfolding. And like, it's not necessarily that anything was so much of a surprise, so much as like we were getting filled in on a picture that we already had a semi idea of based on the trailer. But to see it filled in and to see just data information we didn't have about all these characters and what gets filled in during the movie, amazing, wonderful experience. Amazing, wonderful experience. And oh my God, that is the beauty of these movies about relationships. They are about transitions. They are about deaths of old things. They are about new soil, that a fire that needs to burn for one, a new soil that needs to happen. You know what I mean? It's constructive deconstruction, constructive destruction. And so the movie also opens with a quote from Oscar Wilde, which is amazing because the last movie I saw in theaters was the Fathom Entertainment's re-release of Citizen Kane, which was my first time ever watching it. And I got a taste of like cinema, you know, of true absolute Scorsese meme cinema. It truly refreshed me and reinvigorated me on like how good a screenplay can be and how good directorial choices can be. And with Olivia Wilde like doing this after Don't Worry Darling, I was like, and don't get me wrong, there's like flaws and there's scenes in there if I wanted to get nitpicky, but I don't, because I connected and the movie moved me enough to where it doesn't matter. And also Christopher Nolan coming out later this month. I'm like swimming in good cinema and good directorial choices of people that understand how people work. That was the beauty of this movie, in that I found myself relating to certain aspects the way I did with the drama, the way I did with Past Lives, relating to the feeling of like, we don't talk about it enough, but like the way we become not only, you know, invisible to ourselves, but we block people out. We want to be invisible to them and they are invisible to us. And we just want to live in this graveyard for a bit of like misery, the way they put it in the invite. Kind of like nose blindness, in that you walk around and you reek of this like, of the misery that you think you're masking, but you're really not. And then your life just withers away around you. And I've experienced this myself. And it's not necessarily, this is the fucked up part about it. If you don't take the wool over your eyes and step out of that graveyard, you can one day look back and go, maybe I could have turned that around in a way, or I had something there that could have been so much better than what I have now. But also, you know, it's like, it's a little bit tricky, but it's fucked up because you end up hurting people you don't want to hurt. You end up making choices that hurt you. You lose time, energy, effort, money. You know, there's a lot that comes from not being enlightened to like the nose blindness. And that's what hurts in a good way and bad way when you're watching these films, is that you can see that they once had something good. You can feel the pain of loss, that they had something good. And when you're connecting with the film, you also remember times in your life where you almost had something really good and where you had that really good beginning, and where you start to feel the fractures come in and where things went wrong, and the pain of how it could have maybe been fixed had, you know, circumstances, people's energies, mindsets, readiness level had been different. And you know, sometimes just things play out the way they play out and the way they need to. Honestly, you can't, you know, begrudge life for the lessons it teaches. It's all about, you know, letting the old things die so that new things can grow, which is beautiful also in a way. There's a scene in the invite where, and it's probably the best part, and it's actually for a movie that revolves around so much, you know, teasing and flirting and like beating around the bush and putting on a front. The real sex, the real release, the real beautiful moment of that film came when all cards were on the table, all bets were off. There was nothing possibly left to lose, and like or able to hide at all. And everyone just started to like finally clue us, the audience, in, and clue each other in the room in the movie into these two characters who were living in this like no man's land of like a dead relationship. And the beautiful thing is that Penelope Cruz's character as a sexologist and basically a reader of vibes and energy, and like she was saying how, and also again the podcast online, this is also echoed in John Deloney, like those podcasts like that, someone's gotta finally turn on the lights, cut the music, and just say, what the heck are we doing here, you know? And you want to be ready, first of all, to have that conversation. And like, that's the tricky part, is like people don't let themselves get there because of ego or anger or fear. Taking stock of what you have and like going, okay, what can I do here? And how can I make this better serve me most of all, and also my life, future potential, and also the people around me? And like, how can I turn this misery that I keep wanting to live in for the comfort of that anger, fear, and, you know, misery graveyard? How can I turn it around? And there's effort and like uncomfortability and awkwardness that comes from trying to turn it around. And that's like also part of the transition phase and the ugliness of the awkward, like falling apart breakdown phase of a connection, of a relationship, which is why I love these movies about tricky relationships, because we have trouble connecting with people, especially our generation lately, and fractures between generations, both young and old. And like this evening that they shared in the invite is when, again, that awkward transition, that awkward like cracking, it's all relative, you know, your cracking phase could be a month and feel like an eternity, or it could be a 10-year cracking in the marriage and it feels, you know, even more eternal. But it's like it's been dying and withering and dead and sterile for so long, and you suddenly wake up one day and you haven't had sex in so long, and you don't feel like you've actually been held or understood by your partner. This also brings it back to Hereditary, that sort of feeling of like those relationships that die. And that's once that happens, once the death happens, if you're able to come out of it on the other side, the new is when finally, again, that nose blindness, bringing it back to that, is when you finally remember, like, you want people to see you as a person. You don't want to be, deep down, you really do. You want to not be treated as, you want to at least be respected. If you want to be left alone, you at least want to feel respected and seen and recognized. And again, I could go on about all the different roles and energies that these characters brought to the film. The wife in the movie, in the invite, was so like cloying and like clingy and needy for like validation and like just some sort of like, you know, and not in a judgy way, because I related to this and it made me cringe, but in a good way, in a way of like I'm connecting and like relating. She just needed that emotional like connecting, the moment of like, I don't even think they shared a kiss. Like I kept waiting for like maybe a kiss between them, but like they deep down don't want to live that way. And so anyway, as far as movies about connecting with others and like the way we put up fronts and the way we avoid ourselves and each other, they're beautiful movies for that reason. And they like wake me up to like the way that I don't want to be treated and the way I don't want to treat others also. But it's so hard to like manage energy and like manage yourself and protect yourself, but also like be not closed off and hard to the world. You know what I mean? That's what I struggle with, is like I'm not an unkind or mean person, but when I feel disrespected or like I'm not being considered, I do become an ugly individual. I do put on, and it's all from anger and fear. And like that's what Penelope Cruz's character in the movie kept saying, which is like, if we want to get to like the true climax, the true connection, the true sex, the true fun, the true joy, the true vibes, it has to not come from a place like that. It has to come from a good place, like set and setting, kind of like if you drop, you know, some mushroom tea, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, tangent rant aside, I love film. I love cinema so much. And go see it. Go see The Invite. Amazing time at the movies. It immediately jumped to like my top 5 or 3 of the year, which is insane. I wasn't expecting that.